All right, magic time. All right, folks, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in to the very first installment of Thinking and Drinking. You're sitting here with your host, Drew Ray-Ban, and your co-host, Justin Hillbilly Fisher. Justin, you want to say hi to the folks?
Howdy, everybody. How's it going? We're going to have a great day today.
We got a brand new motherfucking segment. Oof, already off to a rough start. Brand new segment. It's going to be the same type of style if you're familiar with the Mind of the Messiah podcast platform of virtual coffee shop, where right now we're shooting on Sundays. Every other Sunday, Hillbilly and I are going to get behind the mic, tackle a brand new topic, get into life a little bit, see what's going on, and do these interviews every couple of weeks. And I'm excited to be able to be behind the mic today. Jesus Christ, I should have woke up a little earlier. I'm excited to be behind the mic today because this is our very first new interview segment, man. This is a brand new baby project we're starting, so I'm very excited to have you down today so we can do this.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for having me on, and we're going to get some art taken care of this week for this segment, and it'll be a good time.
The audio actually sounds pretty good on your end right now. Did you do the
Awesome.
same thing as we did on the test run?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't change anything. I just kept it the way it was.
I'm gonna click on your settings actually real quick, see where we're at. Now, do you have echo cancellation on your end?
I believe I have that option, yeah. Hold
I
on
don't
one
know.
second.
I just tried clicking it on yours and seeing if that did
Yeah,
anything.
approve.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, is that better?
Yeah, so it gave you a recommendation.
Yeah, well, it said the host is prompting you to do echo cancellation. I'm like, all right, easy enough.
Host is telling you to fix your mic. All right, yeah, sweet. All right, so for the very first installment of Thinking and Drinking, Hillbilly is going to lead us out on the topic, and he is also the one who designed the cover art for this episode. Very big fan of that, so thank you for doing that. Before we even get into it, I'm just happy that we're able to do a creative collaboration together. The only one I have other than this is with Abraham, and with our schedules, how much they don't align up once every 6 fucking months. It's nice to have something I'll be able to work on consistently, and so this is a good thing.
Yeah, I'm excited. Ever since you told me you started doing podcasting, I've been waiting for a fucking segment. So
Well, here we
you know,
go.
it's one of
D&D.
those things where you don't ask to be invited, you get invited, and then it goes from there. It's one of those.
Well, now we got our own shit. It was funny that I was looking at that cover art you were doing the other day, the TND, and when you said I was thinking about moving the end in the middle, Kristen, that was the first fucking thing Kristen said. I said, no, 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 wait. Look at it where it's at. TND. You got the
Yeah.
abbreviation right there, baby. Otherwise, it was NNN. Not sure what we're doing with that one. All right. So, fuck it. What do you
Uh,
got for us today?
all right, so the topic that I want to cover today, and it's kind of going to go. We're going to start at a point, and then we're going to jump back a little bit and get to it. But the topic for today is the 40-hour work week, how and when it started, and its effects on creativity.
I like that. I like that.
So, so my whole thing is let's jump back from the 40-hour work week and focus a little bit on school, because that's ultimately where we get our schedule from. That's where we learn to sit down, shut up, take notes, and learn what we're telling you. You know, raise your hand and ask to go to the bathroom, that kind of thing.
Oddly enough, your school hours just happen to fall on typically when most parents' or work hours are in present too, in
Right,
session.
right. And the part that always blew my mind is, how long are you in school every day? 8 hours. How long is a typical 40-hour work week? 5 8-hour shifts. What do you work at? What are you doing at school? 5 8-hour shifts. It's just, it seems like it has always been a way to just make good workers.
Yep. Well, I'm actually happy that we're tackling this topic. I ended up reading, I read a book a while ago called The Shallows by Nicholas Carr. I think it's Carr. Nicholas Carr. It was talking about how with technology evolving so fast and us always having our eye on technology and not the natural world around us, we're losing the ability to focus and formulate memories and thoughts the same way that we used to. We can't get to that collective depth because we're so distracted with all this fucking influx of information every 5 seconds. What he talked about was there was a chapter where he talked about how the hours in our days began to become segmented, and it had to do with the introduction of the clock and how that
Mm-hmm.
technology changed everything, because then for the first time a human being's day was ruled by the hands on this clock that told him when and where he was supposed to be and what he was supposed to be doing at those times. It completely defied the laws of, well, shit, even our natural circadian rhythm. Now we have
Mm-hmm.
something artificial telling us when we're supposed to be up and pumping versus just the natural flow of how things are internally. So I mean it's interesting how one invention like that inevitably shifts the course of human direction, and it's something so simple as a clock. Now you
Yeah.
have to look at everything the fucking clock brings behind it in as far as industry. You have those 8-hour days, those 12, those 16-hour shifts. Every single thing within that shift happens by the minute. You know what I mean? You even punch out right at that exact second, right? You punch in right at that exact fucking second. Everything is dictated by that clock. The biggest thing to remember on this whole thing is that clock is not supposed to be there. The clock is not a function that serves a human being well at all.
Mm-hmm.
It defies our natural flow. So I'm curious where you're going to go with this, because it isn't something natural, and it started a long fucking time ago, and that's what brought on the industrial, really kicked off the industrial revolution, way back when.
Right. And one of my favorite books is The People's History of the United States. And
I've never heard of that one.
it goes into heavy detail of the Industrial Revolution, and it's an alternate perspective on American history basically. It tells the stories of like major historical acts and how they happened from the layman's point of view, the everyday person's point of view.
No, the common man.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
And
I like
it
that versus the lies of the people who are telling it.
right, right. And that's the fucking crazy part about it is the person who wins tells the history. You know, the person who wins writes the book. So it comes down to like this is an alternate account of what they're telling you in school versus how it actually happened and like the major events and how they took place. One of the main things I remember reading in that book was the Industrial Revolution riots and women's rights in industrial situations. It was a very interesting read. It's a really long book. It's like if you listen to it on audiobook, it's like 23 hours or something like
Holy
that.
shit.
Yeah, it's a massive book.
Well, that's fucking one worth reading, though, because you never hear about it from the perspective of if the hierarchical pyramid from the bottom up. You don't ever hear about the bottom side of it at all. It's
Yeah,
always told from the top down, as these stories are. As you just said, fucking whoever wins is the one that gets to tell the story. Well, if you can actually hear the perspective of someone who maybe didn't win in that situation, maybe someone who's just got caught in the same fucking current as everyone else did who lost, and it's like, well, maybe that's really a better way of looking at what happens, because who knows what the fuck you're told when you're told from the side that won. You know what I mean? You get to control the narrative. You
right.
get to say whatever the fuck you want to say. You get to, I mean, look at Christopher fucking Columbus Day, how that was just honored and celebrated in school for so fucking long, and none of us even knew why. And then
Right.
as you get older, you're like, wait, sorry, what did he do?
Yeah,
You're
I
like,
mean
I didn't hear about any of that.
there's even a portion of the book that's strictly during that time period that'll tell you all the fucking atrocities that he did
Yeah.
during his little conquest of a fucking continent.
In the school textbook, you never heard about any of that. You just
No,
heard,
you
yeah, he guided the ships to America. He had a fucking beach bonfire going. He was waving the other ships, and hey, we found it. That
yeah,
was it.
right.
That was
Yeah,
it.
you didn't hear nothing of the crazy shit that he did, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody who doesn't know. If that's something you're interested in, do your own research. There's multiple ways that you can access this information. It's not secret. It's not anything that's under wraps or, confidential. It's all been declassified. It's all normal it's all easily accessible for people that are actually interested in that kind of thing.
Fucking right it is. Fucking right it is, especially now. So, ugh, sorry, I had to clear my fucking nose. We had a bonfire yesterday, and my fucking sinuses are completely packed. Like I
I
took an
cut the
allergy med.
I cut the grass 2 days ago, and I'm still stuffed up.
I finally just
So
was able to kill every weed in our goddamn yard from mowing the lawn for about 3 weeks. We had fucking knee-high weeds. After
yep,
the
me
very
too.
first time after I mowed, fucking 4 days go by, nothing. All of a sudden, knee-high weeds come in. I mowed it finally once. For the first time in 2 weeks, it went away, and they haven't come back yet. So I'm sitting here, fingers
Nice.
crossed, because it makes your yard just look fucking atrocious.
My yard looked like a fucking jungle up until
Mm.
yesterday.
Mm.
I ended up
Yep.
having to cut it twice. I had to have the mower blade, the deck height all the way up to cut it the first time. And then I, planted a bunch of vegetables and stuff and did some weed whacking in the spots that I couldn't hit with the mower. And then I went back and dropped the mower deck down to fucking mow it to the right height.
Fucking right. I had to drive my dad's riding mower all the way across town because my lawn was so goddamn high. It wouldn't, even at maximum height, that push mower wasn't going to do anything. So I needed something bigger. So finally, I was able to get that done. And then I had to go back over it with a little fucking mower. It sounds like we're in the similar fucking boat here for our
Yeah.
lawns.
Well, it was the rain that got me because I have to borrow a mower. I have to drive my car like 3 or 4 blocks away, pick up a mower, and then ride it back to my house to cut the grass because I
Yeah.
don't even have a push mower. So I ended up doing that, and then 2 weeks ago when I borrowed it the last time, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna need it for a couple of days because I got to cut the grass. It's supposed to rain tonight, and then I'll cut it again tomorrow." Ended up not being able to do that because the guy needed his mower back, and I was like, "All right, I'll bring it back." So got that all taken care of, and I've been waiting, but this rain has just been killing me. I mean, we're up to like almost 8 inches of rain now, 8 or 9 inches of rain.
Yeah. Yeah. Always on the days that I actually plan on doing it. I tell you what, let me ask you this real quick. Do you absolutely love mowing your lawn?
I'm Okay, so I'm not necessarily like in the same boat where you find it super peaceful and like really relaxing. For me, it's just another chore, but I don't mind mowing my grass. It's not like I dread it. Like I dread doing my fucking dishes or like doing laundry that I know I need to hang outside because I'll forget about
100%.
it. I'm not dreading the task, but it's not something that I ultimately look forward to doing.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck it is. I just put on some fucking headphones and just go, go, go. I fuck.
Well, and then working second shift is really fucking me up too because like all the stuff that I want to get done, all the stuff that I enjoy doing during the nice days of the summer, I can't do because I'm at work. Like I wake up, I got maybe an hour or two to do stuff before work, and then when I get out of work, it's already dark. So,
Yeah, that's a tough one too. Yeah, I feel the same way on third shift because that's the last thing I want to do after my shift in the fucking morning. But then
mhm,
I also got shit to do once I'm up. So it's like I put
right,
lawn
like
mowing for the weekends. Well, guess what? Working this magical 40-hour work week. Fucking, well, when do I have time to get to that when all of the shit that I don't have time to do throughout the week is waiting for me on the weekend? And then all of a sudden you
yo,
got that one day and now it fucking rains and you're like, well, all right, lawn sits here another week. And then 2 weeks go by and you have Jurassic Park in your front and back fucking yard. It's like, what are you supposed
yup,
to do?
right. That's exactly it.
Because the fucking city will give you a fine. I don't know if they do that in Fond du Lac, but in Waupun, they'll give you a fucking fine.
Yeah, they do. Typically, they give you a warning. They normally let it go for a couple of weeks, and then you'll get a written warning on your door. And then if you don't take care of it within like a week from then, you got a fucking fine coming at you. But I
Think
mean,
about how
there's a lot.
stupid that sounds. How
I know, I
stupid that
know.
sounds that a human being tells you that
What?
the plants in your yard are too big.
Right? It doesn't make any sense. Like, who are you to tell me what to do with my property? Oh, because I'm in your city, that means you have the right. That's just like an HOA neighborhood,
What's that?
homeowners association, the HOA.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just it's just like that where like you fucking have Christmas decorations out and it's March and you're getting fucking written fines from your
I
HOA
was gonna say, my
members.
uncle had that. He had a
Like,
fucking he lived in a very nice HOA type of neighborhood. He had a fucking one of them grizzly bears that were carved into like a tree trunk, like the standing
mhm.
grizzlies made out of. Yeah, they
Yeah,
told me,
yeah.
yeah, you can't have that in your front yard. He said, well, until you pay my mortgage, you're not gonna tell me what I can and can't have in my own fucking front yard.
Right. That just seems fucking asinine to me. I thought it was funny. I seen a meme the other day that said something along the lines of "You're just a stupid monkey," and then it like cut over to like a chimpanzee or something, and it was like, "Yeah, well, you're the only species that pays to exist."
Damn, I
Yeah,
like
right. And
that.
that's like, well, I mean, you got a point, man. Like, I shouldn't have to fucking pay property taxes on a house that I already own.
Yeah, yeah, no shit. It's fucking.
You know,
I like that meme.
it's such a fucking dumb process, but it comes with you get that like uh balancing act between comfort and paying for the comfort, you know? Like if I didn't have a fucking house, I wouldn't have to pay property taxes or a mortgage, but I also wouldn't have a place to store all my shit, and I would have to worry about, oh, is it going to rain because my tarp out back is, going to fall over and I won't have a shelter. So it's
Yeah, I
like
feel
it's
you.
like a it's like you're paying for the convenience, but is the convenience really worth it, you know?
Because both come with a headache on either end, either way.
Yeah, yeah. And there's no way around it. Like if I went out and bought 10 acres out in the mountains, just raw land, I would still have to pay property taxes on that. So even if I was all set up and I bought a fucking nice plot of land and I had like a nice semi-permanent temporary shelter for myself that I wasn't worrying about if my house is going to collapse for the rainstorm, even then I still have to pay property taxes. So I still have to be a quote unquote functioning member of society and get a job so that I could make money to pay for the property that I already bought,
Just for a
you
piece of
know?
land that you bought specifically to get away from all of the other people on their piece of fucking land. You just wanted to be
Right,
left
like,
alone.
and it doesn't make any fucking sense. But
Not for me
that
and you, because we're not profiting off of it.
yeah, I mean that's it
Somewhere,
is what it is,
somewhere
man.
it's making a lot of sense.
It is what it is,
They're
man.
like,
I
keep
got
them paying, baby. Keep them paying.
yeah, well, defund the IRS by not paying them on your fucking incomes.
Yeah, we know that one on you. All right, fuck it. Let's
So
get into
anyway,
that nitty
anyway,
gritty of the
yeah.
40 hours. 40 hours.
All right, so the 40-hour work week from all of my research has come from Henry Ford for the most part. He was like the leader of the industrialization of America in most people's opinions, at least. But the 40-hour work week was actually part of the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, and it was requiring all employers to pay overtime to employees who worked more than 44 hours a week. Now, that used to be the standard up until 1940, 2 years later. They switched it to 40 hours only as the standardized work week.
Can you repeat that?
And
So you said it was up to 44 hours?
yep,
Okay.
in 1938, it said the standardized work week in America was 44 hours.
Huh.
So that's 5 days, 8 hours, and then you like working a Saturday a half shift.
Okay.
So and then 2 years later they amended that to be only a 40-hour work week. And that the Fair Labor Act is only basing off of for overtime, employers having to pay overtime after a certain hour.
Got it.
But as far as I found, the 40-hour work week was pretty well standardized by Henry Ford in all of his manufacturing facilities.
Was Ford a union shop?
I don't know if it was or not. That's something I haven't looked into all that
I'm
much, but
curious.
I'm sure some way or another he's involved in the what is it? United Auto Workers
Yeah.
Union. And I know they're in Case International Tractors. I know UAW is part of that facility because the Case manufacturing plant down in Racine, they were actually on strike for like 2.5 years.
No shit.
Yeah, the UAW was outside the fence every single day at a picket line, standing on the corner with signs that said they need to pay us right, they need to pay us well. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think
That's
it was
wild.
over benefits like health insurance and shit like that.
Something those people at the bottom, they don't need it all.
Yeah, right.
They don't need
You work until you're dead.
strip them.
There's a reason my lunchbox has a sticker that says expire to retire. You know, it's because there's no getting out of it. By the time we're old enough to retire, we probably won't even have a social security to
Okay,
retire
I
with.
just heard about this from Jeff on Friday. Yeah, no, Thursday night shift. He was just talking to me about this, about Social Security running out. I didn't understand what he meant by it because I hear about it, but I didn't know what it means. Let me recap and see if I'm fucking way off with how I remembered this. So the way he described it, Social Security running out by the time guys like Hillbilly and I are at that age. Apparently, right now, there's more older people cashing out on their Social Security than there is younger people who are paying into it. So it's causing that resource pool to drain,
Yep.
and not enough is that, am I sounding like I'm sort of
Yeah.
remembering it on the right
Yeah, I mean
path?
that sounds pretty accurate to me. I just read a statistic, and I just want to say like 65% of statistics are made up on the spot. So if you hear something that's a percentage, always do your own research, because I may say 65% of statistics are made up, but it might actually be 35% or 20% or 80, Um from what I just seen a what was it? Where was I going with this? I just seen a statistic that said like 10 to 17 people are retiring per day right now,
Okay.
and only it was a very minute percentage. It was like 10 or 15% of the new workforce coming in has the ability and the skill to take over in those spots. So the problem is you're not going to have kids fresh out of college. They're not going to be able to retain that job, that career path that they wanted, because they don't have the knowledge going into it that the old folks that are getting paid well and that are putting in a bunch of money to Social Security, that they don't have any of that knowledge because they didn't learn.
Is there
They
really
didn't learn anything in school.
is there really even a way out of that, or is it just by the time we
It's
retire, are we gonna get an IOU?
I mean, I don't plan on retiring, buddy. I would just face facts that we're probably not going to be able to retire until like 75 or 80.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, fuck. As long as we can find something easy on our body on that old age, then that's fine with me.
Right. As
That's
long as it's
fucking
something you
wild,
enjoy
though.
doing.
That is fucking wild how they let that get so out of hand.
Right. And the problem is, like, a lot of places, a lot of people were under the impression that like blue collar jobs are like lower class people stuff, like me and you, we have a blue collar job,
Mm-hmm.
but like people that are fucking office people, they're like, ugh, people work with their hands every day. Ugh, what is that?
Them pieces of shit
Like,
cockroaches that we walk by every single day. I see them down there getting their grubby little fat fucking fingers all dirty and touching all of this stuff.
they're touching
Just
stuff.
sweating and greasing everywhere. And then, oh God, could you imagine that we are both the same people? Fuck.
Well, there was that stigma for like a really long time. I remember being in high school, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you don't need any of these fucking shop classes because blue collar jobs aren't worth nothing."
Exactly.
Fucking blue collar jobs have always paid me really well. The office jobs are the ones that didn't pay me for nothing.
Now, without overstepping here and without overstepping, I think, in mentioning anything specific, I think that we see this every single day. That exact same principle that you're talking about, that almost that elitist eye of how blue collar work is seen. We see that every day with how we are looked at by the people
Mm-hmm.
who perceive and interpret themselves to be better or higher on the status than us. They do look at you, and I mean, you can tell me
Yeah,
if I'm wrong.
they
They
like
look at you,
sneer.
yeah, like you're a little
They
cockroach
like
on the
sneer
ground.
like Yeah, like, well, I always compared it to, because I used to do a bunch of like mechanic work, and you know how at mechanic shops they have like the big open windows so you can see what these people are doing.
Yep.
I always compared like office workers or people that are slightly higher up but not like, head of the company.
Yeah.
They look at you like you're a zoo exhibit. Like they're walking through the fucking
Yeah.
zoo and they're staring at you like, It looks like they want to throw like peanuts at you.
Full
Like,
head turn to the left, just walking as they're walking forward. They're just fucking watching you like you're a different alien race, just fucking working on the
right.
ground.
Right,
Yeah.
like a kid that goes to the bird exhibit for the first time, and they're just like face pressed up against the glass, like,
Mhm.
"What's going on? What is this person?"
I don't what do you think that is? Do you think it's a genuine curiosity for the work we're doing, or do you think it's just like a little snap judgment as you walk by, like, ha, as the person who's walking by with their head cranked looking at us floor cockroaches? Ha, look at me. I worked so hard in school to get where I am, and I look over to my left, I see all these fucking people that didn't do what I did, and now look at their life as a result, man. They're just on here on the ground working, just slaving away all day. Look at them all dirty and grimy, and not me, though. I mean, I played my cards well. Look at me, I got in a second floor office, like things are going. You know what I mean? Like, do you think it's
Right.
that?
I think it's a mix of both, and then also add in tribe theory.
Oh, yeah.
Tribe
100%.
theory, it drives
It's like the final nail in
subconsciously.
the coffin for that.
Right, subconsciously, tribe theory drives, I would say, 75% of your snap judgments and your immediate um observations on things. Because like, just because, oh, I work an office job, I'm better than you, that's office tribe versus floor worker tribe, you know.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it just subconsciously affects a lot of the decisions unless you make a legitimate conscious effort to go against that hardwired thought process.
You have to be able to see past the label of what we deem ourselves to be, and the only way you are able to really do that is understanding that one life is one life, as far as we're all in this fucking human pool together. It does not matter. It does not matter if I'm full of fucking grease and grime and you're walking around in your fucking nice dress pants and button up shirt with the collar all the way up. There's no difference between me and you, because you strip off that little fucking, those nice pair of khaki pants and that button up shirt, and I take off my grease filled fucking clothes rags. Guess what, dude? We're both naked human beings underneath. And the only
Yep.
thing that allowed you to think differently, well, one of the things that allowed you to think differently was the different material of cloth that we were wearing, that yours was nicer than mine. So that made you a different human being. You know, it's such tribalism can go all the way down to the most microscopic level, or it can be the most broad thing in general. But you think you can even look at it all the way down to what I just said about the clothing that you're wearing, that piece of cloth that is designed to only keep us in a survival state, only helps a fucking human being to survive, that's so weak as a natural organism that it can't survive outside without this cloth on. But now we evolved to the point where, I deem my cloth to be just a little bit nicer than his. He looks a
Yep.
little bit grimier than me. I must be different than him. And it's like, dude, at the end of the day, if that's how you think about how fucking stupid you sound when you realize that, you know what? I'm talking about a piece of cloth. Like a cloth. That you could hold up a fucking dish rag and say, does this make me any different than the human next to me? No. Okay, well then why would the dish rag that I'm fucking wearing make me any different than the guy next to me? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's all goes into that tribalism. Like you said, the snap judgments that you can just quick look and, oh, I noticed these perceptual, all these differences. We're different. It's like, no,
Yep.
no, it's not, you dumb fucker. It's not. And that problem is that tribalism is so deeply ingrained that it covers everything that we do, and it can always go down to the smallest levels of the clothes, even down to the levels of what clothing we're wearing. It's so ingrained into that DNA, it's not going anywhere for a very long time. You can make a conscious effort, and once you do make that conscious effort, it's kind of a laughable topic, tribalism. You're like, huh, I don't know. Once the blinders are off your eyes, as far as that way of thinking, you can really see how stupid it really was. I mean, yeah, it served a beautiful purpose when we actually had to fight and die to survive as a, hunter gatherer. That's not the case anymore.
Right.
There's no need for that tribal sizing up for anything anymore when it comes to that. And I tell you what, That's one of the biggest crippling factors in our ability to come together, is that tribal DNA that still exists. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah, it's as long as I feel like as long as you can make a conscious effort to question that, like you said, hardwired and deeply ingrained in our subconscious, as long as you can start looking at certain things, and it's kind of like taking a different perspective, a different point of view on something. You look at it and you go, "Oh, that guy, he's wearing Nike and I only like Adidas."
Yeah.
Tribal thought. But once you get past that and you're like, "Wow, he has some pretty good style. I have some pretty good style. We're kind of the same." Once you can unleash that subconscious thought process, it makes life a lot. It makes it makes you take things in a different perspective a lot more.
And it makes you question why you're even making those snap judgments in the first place when you realize them. Nike versus Adidas. When you think about it, you're like, wait, wait, what? I have
Right? Like, why have I
this
even
guy's a
been
piece of
programmed
shit
to
because he's
think?
got a Nike swoosh on his fucking shoe, and I got
Right? Like,
what? I
got
got
the got
Adidas
the Adidas
lines.
stripes.
But that's what makes us different. Is he's got a Nike swoosh and I got an Adidas, and since I've always had Adidas, fuck Nike. And it's like when you realize
Yeah.
that, that's what I meant before about how laughable the whole topic of tribalism is. When you realize something like that and you say that out loud to yourself, wait, why don't I like that guy? Oh, because he's got a Nike swoosh. Oh, like you can't help but not laugh at yourself. Like that's kind of pretty fucking stupid. Now do it
Right.
on a fucking planetary level. Oh, wait, why are we killing those people? Why are we exploiting those people? Oh, because they don't belong in the same social circle as us. Maybe they don't have enough as many resources as we do, so I deem them lesser. Maybe they don't have enough green pieces of paper that control everything like we do, so now they're lesser. But wait, I'm comparing myself to them, and the only judge of value between us is something like money or possessions like that. Oh my God, that does really sound fucking stupid thinking about out loud. And you're like, well, holy shit, how have I been so blind to letting my life be run by these tribal judgments? They're ingrained in us. They're going to happen. You have to be able to consciously recognize them and fight them if they're going to make any sort of difference or go away. That's the thing. We don't acknowledge it. Instead, we shield up and get on teams and we solidify and bury it in, and we fight on it could be fucking fighting in war, or it could be fighting Nike versus Adidas. We team up and we fight, and 99% of the time we have no idea why we're even fighting. Why don't you like that guy that has the Nike swish versus the Adidas? Why do you not like that guy who has less green pieces of paper than you? Can you tell me these things out loud? And if you can, well, then you figured out something that we haven't been able to. And if you can't, which you probably won't, you're going to see how fucking stupid you sounded your whole fucking life of judging and ganging up and teaming up for something, for these causes, these subconscious fucking desires to just engage in conflict with each other. You did all that for what? For what? Nothing. It's always for fucking nothing when it comes to judgments, because we aren't that monkey anymore. We're not that fucking primitive tribesmen anymore. We have a society where the society now is dormant based, and the only way a society that's dormant based will thrive and function and even stand a chance of making it is if they work together. Because the hunter gatherer was kind of more of it was a not selfish, but not in a bad way. Whereas the numbers were so small, everything was mostly for the individual or for the people directly around the individual. But now that we live in a dormant society, dormant's not the right word. Complacent? No, we're in one area. We're not moving.
Stagnant.
Stagnant society. Good. Nice. Thank you. Stagnant
Yep.
society. The only way that functions is if we stop turning to help just ourselves and fuck. I fucked myself up here. It only survives if we start gearing our decisions and our actions towards helping the collective versus helping the individual. But we've had millions of years of evolution to where our existence served the individual, the hunter-gatherer who was caught in the woods by himself, and he just had a spear. Everything he did was for the good of him or, his family or the couple of people around him. Now, everything that we do, all the systems are geared to serving the collective on a higher level. Well, unfortunately, we're still geared to want to help just us. And when you take just us and you put them in the fucking, let's say, a city with a lot of other just us, it's a bad recipe, because the selfishness is still ingrained in us just as much as those tribalism snap judgments. It's our DNA, man, is so wired fucky. And as I was talking about this, I'm like, I don't even know if we're gonna even talk about fucking creativity in the clock today.
All right, I love these
dude.
tangents.
This is what it's about. This is what it's about.
Right. It's a lot of stuff that needs to be talked about and thought about, and self-preservation and small communal living. Like, I feel like that's the way. The big cities, like you said, when there's a bunch of I'm just in it for me, just in it for me. If you got a bunch of those motherfuckers living in one hot spot of an area, you're going to drain the resources of that area very quick, because it's going to be a grab for, oh, I need to feel comfortable, I need to feel safe, I need to feel secure. So there's going to be a fucking lack of resources in that area. Where, like, small town living, let's say, you got a fucking town with 3,000 to 5,000 people. It's a very nice community to live in. Everybody's there, we're there to help you out. Like, oh, you need plants for your garden. Oh, I just happen to have an extra bunch of them that I'm not going to be able to plant in mine. Here, take them. Or like, oh, you ran out of gas on the side of the road. Let me give you a ride to the gas station. You can use my jerry can to fucking fill your car up. Like, that kind of situation. You don't get those in the big city, high density living environments. You get that in the rural communities, where they understand the process of self-preservation and look out for the people next to you and the people around you.
Yep.
So, and that's why I really liked moving up here from Milwaukee. It's like, yeah, it's still a big city, but there's still that nice people presence. There's still people that are willing to help you out. There's still people that are willing to, look out for you on a personal, person to person level, not because you're a certain color or because you work at a certain place or you have this certain thought process. You don't have to fucking wave a Trump flag or whatever to fucking be a friend to somebody up here.
Yeah. No, I like
and
that.
That's why I moved up here, aside from the hunting and fishing that I do normally right around town here. But like that, it was really nice to get out of that toxic big city environment and move somewhere where there's still that. I grew up in a small town. Like, the town that I grew up in, I think there's like 3,000 people.
Yeah.
So like, getting that feeling of being in a smaller town environment while still having access to the resources that come along with living in a city, it's like the perfect balance for me at the moment.
I really like what you said on that piece there. Think about it like this, because it's observable. The theory of everything you're saying can be observed in every fucking city, town, or village there is. I live in Waupun, 10,000 people. Half of that population on the consensus actually is from the 3 prisons we have in Waupun, so about 5,000 just, regular people. The other 5,000 are inmates. And then you take a town like Fond du Lac, what, 40, 35, 40,000?
Yeah, 35, 40,000, something like that.
Then you take a city like Milwaukee, what are we talking? A couple 100,000?
500,000 people.
500,000? Okay, well, I look in something like Waupun because I love living in Waupun. It's one of them. Remember when we were talking about mowing the lawn at the beginning, and I was riding my mower down the city street trying to get back to my house from my old man's? I tell you what, I passed probably 20 people, older crowd, just the old boys on their fucking porch or on their lawn chairs in the driveway, just sipping a brew. And I'd go by and, hey, how's it going, brother? And you know what I mean? Just the friendly waves and the salutes, and you're all just trucking. You're just trucking 4 miles an hour on this little fucking lawnmower down the road, and you're just loving life, and everything's calm and simple. I don't hear gunshots going off around me. There's no police sirens. In fact, there's Edna fucking watering her foot. Hey, Edna, how's it going? It's just shit like that. Well, you don't have that at a place like Milwaukee, and you think about it. And when you were talking, I was thinking, in a way, you can predict a society's success based on how many people know each other in that society. Like,
Yep.
small town, Waupun, this is a town where everyone knows everyone. You're not going to be fucking with people even on your same block because everyone knows everyone. You know what I mean? Fuck, there are predominant family names in this small town. It's a very German and Dutch town. Everyone's got a Dutch or German sounding last name. But in a place where everyone knows everyone, you're more likely to help the people around you versus exploit them because of the social consequence. Versus if I fuck someone over in Milwaukee, okay, who cares? I'm never going to see that person again. I don't know this person or any of that person's family or extended family or extended past that. I don't even fuck this person. Fuck this person. There's
Right.
no need for a sense of community. I'm never going to see him again. But I can't carry that mentality here in Waupun when I'm passing Edna. I can't go, well, I'm going to take Edna's shit when she ain't around. Because guess what? I know not only Edna, but I know her niece, and I went to school with her nephew for a little bit. And, me and him went out to the bar a couple of, you know what I mean? Just shit like that.
Right.
The strength of community ties will predeterminedly dictate a society, and I'm not, maybe society isn't the wrong word, but segments of society, like villages, towns, cities, all of that.
Communities.
Yes,
Yeah.
communities. Community ties will dictate the community's success, and that is something that is lost in a place like Milwaukee, is lost in a place like Boston or New York City. It doesn't exist, and these people don't live every single day with those experiences of having the genuine human to human connections and interactions. And because of that, it reinforces that exploitation and selfishness mindset that this is all for me, because my actions will not have any consequences to others because I don't see them as others, because I don't treat them or talk to them or engage with them as others. They're just another number on the board, and everything I take only helps me, and I don't get to see the consequences of everyone that it fucks over. Because to me, there's not that fucking connection like there is with me and Edna on that fucking lawnmower while she's doing her lawn. I can't fuck over Edna because it would fuck over me, and it would fuck over the people in my community and the people that I've come to love and grow with. My actions don't hurt just me. They hurt Edna and everyone around her and everyone around me, versus in that fucking New York City where there's millions of people. Fuck that guy. I can even kill him and take his shit because none of that will ever reflect on me. But what are you doing in this whole fucking equation? You are demonstrating how fast human to human relationships can just fucking wither away. Just fucking wither away when you do not have a stable environment to where those relationships, where those human to human decency relationships have any value. Then there is no value to be decent anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sorry, that was
Yeah, no,
that was a rant.
I totally agree with you. I mean, it just in those bigger areas, it's easier to, fuck people over, which makes it easier for you to feel like you're getting ahead. Even if you might not be, you might have just stole so and so's purse or something. She only had $20. She just paid her rent. Like she ain't got no fucking money either. And now you just took money out of her mouth for the rest of the week.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's not something that anybody cares about. It's all about personal gain and how can I get ahead with how can I get ahead, which ultimately in most people's minds means how can I screw the people around me to get ahead.
I think what's truly unfortunate is how an example of this between me and Edna in Little Waupun versus two people fighting in New York City right now is how those perceptions inevitably dictate your experience with human beings as a whole. What I mean by okay, let me back up here because I want to do this one right. How you perceive human to human interactions is going to directly influence how you interpret people interact and are supposed to interact with each other. Meaning, to me, this is where I've lived for 25 years in my life. I've driven by Edna on the lawnmower 1,000 times, waved to her, said good morning, how's the niece, how's the nephew, blah, 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 all that shit. To me, through repetition, through normalcy, that is a normal human to human interaction with me. To greet my neighbors because it's for the good of not only myself, but the community around me. And I place, and through seeing that, you place value in human to human connection versus someone in New York. Every person you walk by on those busy streets either shoulders you, or you say hi to someone, they don't answer. You open a door for someone, they don't say nothing. There's violence, there's gunshots. To you at that point, through repetition and through normalcy, that is how you perceive a normal human to connection to be. Oh, that's just normal. You normally shoulder someone as you walk through. And someone opens the door for them, you don't even turn your head. You just keep walking. You don't need to say thank you. Someone takes your shit, well, just go kill them. That's how you do it. And it's like through repetition of our interactions and how, and obviously the bigger that your territory and the population get, the worse this example gets. But
Mm.
it's all about that perception of what's normal. Can you have that normal day-to-day interaction with Edna, or are you getting shouldered by 6,000 people a day? What is that going to do with how you inevitably internalize all of that information that's coming in the grounds of human connection? Well, guess what? That's going to manifest yourself, and that's how you are going to behave more and more and more over time. You're going to be shaped just like the population environment around you. And I think when it comes to solving issues, people have to remember that the term "not everyone's from the same place" really fucking applies. From that, just in a small example like that, because here where I'm from, human connection means the world. On that other side of the country, they could give a shit less about each other. So when we are making decisions as a collective, you have to remember that some people, some of us genuinely want the good of the good, good for the good. Some of them purely by just the way social environment has shaped them, have no consideration for anyone but themselves. And you can see the levels of selfishness rise the bigger the city populations get. And you can see the level and value of human connections rise the smaller the communities get. So what's that telling us in a world that keeps growing? Well, even by this little fucking trendy example right now, it doesn't look like the bigger that the population gets, that the more interactions there are, that that's going to get better unless we go and prioritize. And you can, what's great about this is you can consciously do it with or without being in a certain location. You know what? That asshole that got shouldered in New York, and internally he's like, oh, fuck that, it's just normal people, fuck that guy, and just keeps walking, gets shouldered again, oh, that's just normal, fuck that guy. That guy can realize the shit that we're talking about too. God damn it, the environment just really shapes these people. To them, it's just normal to shoulder someone, or just to not acknowledge someone, or not say hi. No, I get it. Like, it's not really them, it's the environment that they are. And just because I got shouldered 50 times today, I don't have to turn around and be a fucking cocksucker to the next guy. I get it, man. It's, maybe it's not that guy's fault. It's just the environment that he's from. And you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Shit like that.
Yeah.
You can realize
Yeah.
any of these things from where you are. Implementing them on a bigger scale becomes that much more exponentially difficult.
Yep. Because that's what you've been conditioned to believe is the real reality. Where like if we went to New York right now, we'd just be like, oh, these are just New York assholes being New York assholes. But then they come out to a pond or Fond du Lac and they're like, holy shit, this is what they mean by Midwest nice. Like,
You always hear that too. That's what's
yeah.
wild. You always hear the people, and you always hear the stars. I could actually see all the stars in the sky last night. Well, that's normal. That's
Right.
normal, friend. Now, maybe not where you are, but around here it is. Around here, the same
Light
place.
pollution is a real thing.
It really fucking is. I don't know. It's first what I was thinking. I was like, well, goddamn. At least it took me fucking 28 minutes to get warmed up in this conversation. I should have woke up a little earlier. But fucking, I think it's really beautiful to sit back and see it like that, though. To be able to realize that, and because that underneath all of that, how we talked about, just the repetitive interactions lead to conditioned behaviors, and this is how people become, and they become solidified in these negative patterns, but they can also wise up anywhere that they are. I think what's beautiful about Under This is even though when we point the finger at the good sides, like me and Edna's interaction versus the bad sides of the New York to New York shoulderings, in both scenarios, you realize that when you do come to these terms that social environment is going to have an overwhelming factor to do with how you perceive human to human interactions, you realize kind of underneath that, you know what, I think deep down, even though the way the environment is set up the way it is, as far as our interactions go and how those go down, I think underneath all of it, people just genuinely wish that they had the best for each other. That we could all have these Edna fucking Drew interactions riding down the street, mowing lawn, fucking water in the garden, or, someplace in like New York. That even though we're still shouldering each other and opening doors, not opening doors for each other, that, you know what, I think most of us are mostly good. It's just the environment around us that might have something to do with why we are just at each other's throats so much. Maybe it isn't us. Maybe it's the way that this cage was designed for the human beings. Look at rat populations. The more rats that you put into one cage, the more they will fight, the more they will become sick, the more mental illness the rats will start to exhibit. Well, put two rats in one cage. They get along pretty good. They work together. They're always snuggled up at the end of the day. But put 50 rats in that same cage and they're going to start to eat each other. Well, it's not the rats. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not the rats. It's the cage that they're fucking in.
Yep.
It's the way that their cage is designed. It's the way that our social environments are designed that keep us in these states. But when you realize that it's not the rats, that also means it's not the humans. It's not the humans. We're mostly good. Most of us just want those fucking Edna interactions versus the shouldering interactions. We all know it's possible, but it's the way that the cage is designed, and it will prohibit us from doing that unless, well, you can talk all this shit all you want. You put 100 rats in a cage, no one's going to go, you know what, I wonder, maybe it is not the rat. No, they don't have time to even fucking consider that. They're just going to start eating each other. But I don't know. It makes
All right.
me feel better sitting back knowing that, in quotations, it's not the rat. You know what I mean?
Yep. See, I want you, after you get done doing all your stuff later today, I want you to sit down and watch a video titled The Mouse Utopia Experiments.
Is it a YouTube thing?
Yep.
Okay. Mouse Utopia. I love studies they do on rats and mice, man, dude. Not like for the studies themselves, but what they show us about behavior.
It'll solidify literally everything you just said, because that was the premise of it, was to stick as many mice, or I don't remember if it was mice or rats, but they stick as many of them in one small living area, and they like divvied up the food differently depending on, you'll have to see
Oh,
what I'm
no
talking about.
shit. So I'm guessing.
Dude, you're gonna love it, I'm telling
I'm
you.
guessing it's gonna unwind exactly how this was. This unwinded.
Yeah, I mean
Oh no.
it basically just solidified everything you just said. But it's a really nifty thing to watch and see how animals interact when they're crammed into such a tight space like a major city. So it's a pretty interesting experiment. You'll have to watch that.
We cannot.
But
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I did want to say a quote that I just recently heard, and it's, the same boiling water that turns an egg hard will turn a potato soft. Don't let your environment dictate your situation.
Can you say that? Can you repeat that one more time?
The same boiling water that turns an egg hard will turn a potato soft.
Mm,
Don't let your environment dictate your situation.
mm. Because your physical environment, as much as it does impact you, your mental environment will always be something separate. It can be something separate. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where we place our stock. How do not to go off on a different tangent like that, but think about the separation between physical and a mental environment. How can a human being who is in prison still find peace and quiet and happiness in his own mind, even though in his physical environment he is in a hellish state, but mentally he is still searching and sifting through peace, and inevitably he finds it. How is that
Mm.
possible? It only can happen through the separation of physical and mental environment. And that what's nice about that example is it can be applied to wherever we are. Ever we are. It
Right.
doesn't matter if you're
I
in
do
little.
that at work.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's what the beautiful aspect of having a conscious mind is all about. You don't have to be stuck in your physical reality, in your physical environment. That's how people fucking turn to drugs, to escape their physical reality. That's exactly what it fucking means, to escape your
Yup.
physical reality. But you can
Yeah.
also separate yourselves at any time, no matter what reality or what place you're in. That's what's the beautiful thing about having such a conscious mind that's designed to, create and decipher. It's all it's supposed to be doing, is trying to fucking figure out what is going on around it. Little computers just want to problem solve anything, but we don't know what we should be fucking looking for, because there's so much fucking shit going on right now. And what's crazy is I can feel my fucking anxiety up right now as I'm talking about overpopulation and how that's affecting behavior versus, oh man, it just makes me want to get back on that mower and go find fucking Edna and be like, hey Edna, hey, hope you're having a good day today, man. And I just
Hey,
thought
I
about
just wanted to come by and say hi.
I thought about 20 million rats all in the same cage for a little bit. I started to sweat a little bit. I just wanted to remind myself that, at the end of the day, the human to human connections, man, it's absolutely possible and beautiful from wherever we are. But God damn it, until we get out of this cage, there's not going to be enough rats to realize it. Do you think it would? Do you see this trend ever changing? The trend of, do you think our connections as human beings at some point will come back to base and will come back to a spot to where we will start to learn to get along again? Or do you think, with the current trend and projections, do you think that our relationships and our human to human communication abilities will continue to fall apart and dwindle as time moves on?
I would like to say that I'm hopeful that we'll get back to that, but I don't think as a large scale society, just the entire country as a factor, I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. There's just too much, there's too many, how do I say this without getting canceled? There's too many media outlets that 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 are force feeding people information that makes them hate other people. Like, average Joe's hating average Joe's because his favorite color is green and your favorite color is red.
Yep.
You know, and I think until we as an entirety, a country, until we start thinking on our own and not just getting spoon fed whatever the media programs are putting out, I think until you start having individual thoughts with no external coaxing, I don't think that that's going to happen. But once we get to that point, I feel like once people can start making their own decisions based on reality and not perception, that I think we have a better chance, like a way better chance.
That's something I'm going to start telling myself, that I'm going to, not to sound like a douchebag, but that was that rat in the cage reference. I really like that. That was the first time I thought about it like that. And I am going to keep telling myself that, to remind myself that when I see patterns of just shitty human behavior, it's not the rat, it's the cage he's in. And I'm just going to keep
Yep.
fucking telling myself that it's not the rat, it's the cage, because that same rat has the ability, if it was in the right proper cage, to be a loving rat. And we see that any fucking time you see pets together, you can see them just loving each other, because that's what all animals are capable of. But then you flood that same room with about 100 of them, and it becomes a serious problem behavior wise. And it's like, you know what? I think it's a good reference to what's going on here. And is it designed this way intentionally? I don't know. Maybe it was just the gross consequence of overpopulation. I don't even think something like this would have been designed to be that big that way. I think it was all just an unintended consequence of us not only settling down as a people, but just getting too big in one area, in one area, in quotation, over the course of a lot of areas. And I don't know, I'm gonna keep telling myself that it's not the fucking rat, It's the cage he's in. And I think without that cage, then we could go back to functioning in a normal manner. But that's a whole different conversation for another time. What do we do without that cage? You know what I mean? That's another fucking thing. It's not like we can all of a sudden just go back to being freelancing rats. We can't be freelancing fucking hunter and gathering Homo sapiens everywhere anymore. It's like, well, once you've established that the rat's going to be in a cage, it's kind of got to stay in the cage, because just like when you
Right,
when
because
you
otherwise it's just complete utter
what
chaos.
happens if you take a caged or domesticated animal and you let them back into the wild? They die because they no longer know
Yeah,
how to function and survive. I think it would be the cage is killing us, but so would without the cage too, I think.
I agree.
Phew. You want to leave her there for today and fucking pick up? We can try your topic again next week.
Well, we hit the main point that I wanted to hit, and that was from a very young age, we're being trained to be good workers and not be individual creative minds. We're the whole process from the age of what, 3 or 4 is when we start putting kids in school,
Yeah.
all the way up till you retire. The average man is just gonna go to work, go home, do some shit around the house, cut the grass, and then go to sleep, go to work again. You know, like it sucks so much of our creative thought process out of life from such a young age that I feel like a lot of people go through the majority of their life without having a creative outlet. And I think that's a major importance to grow as a individual, is to be able to have that creative outlet. Like for you it's podcasting, for me it's YouTube and whatever else. I got, it's something that when you're doing those bullshit 8-hour work days, you have something to look forward to when you're not there.
When you were talking about that, it just thought popped in my head. You know how since the time of, well, fuck, preschool starts when you're, what, 4 years old?
Yeah,
Since
3 or 4 or something.
time you're 3 or 4 years old and you're getting used to this segmented 8 hours of section of day where school, which as you become an adult will be work. So school and work are programmed into you for 8 hours a day. And that's the
Yep.
norm. 8 hours a day becomes your life. Think about this. I just thought about this. Think about how much different the world could be, or would have been, or would be, if you had that 8 hours of conditioning, but you conditioned just 1 hour of those days. You conditioned just 1 hour of those days to be set aside just for creativity. Mandatory
Hmm.
8 hours of work or school, mandatory 1 hour of creativity. The rest is your fucking time. Think about
Right.
how much this world would have been different if you would
Yeah,
have
it would have.
mandated something. I mean, not mandated, but conditioned something like creativity. Instead, you conditioned obedience.
Yep.
That's odd.
And that was my whole the too long didn't read version of my topic, was to get that point across, that like we're not conditioned to be individual thinking humans. We're conditioned to be good workers, to go in, show up on time, only call in when you're sick, raise your hand to ask questions, raise your hand to go to the bathroom.
Hmm.
We've been conditioned that from such a young age that just seems like the normal for us, and that's not what it should truly be. You should have um time and space to think in a creative way. I mean, even if you do creative writing, like 20 minutes per page, do a couple of paragraphs or something,
Hmm.
that'll get your brain working and being more creative. And then with you, like the floodgates just open and you just go, 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 go. So it's really nice to be able to have that creative outlet, whatever it may be, writing, podcast, YouTube, fucking art, it don't matter. Just to have that creative outlet to not necessarily escape the workday, but make it so that you're working, but also able to think about your next creative endeavor.
I think that the 8 hour conditioning of the workday, I think that's biggest enemy is creativity, because creativity is going to make you question that 8 hour workday. Creativity is going to question why I'm standing in the same spot, touching the same parts, doing the same repetitive actions 8 hours a night when I could be at home coming up with brand new, fresh ideas that make me happy. I could be behind the mic with my buddy having conversations where we dissect aspects of a society, and through that we find relief, we find happiness, we find clarity, we find a little bit of fucking sunlight in this goddamn storm as to what is going on around here. And goddamn, we were able to have a good time. Something I can't do when I'm in my fucking 8 hours of school or 8 hours of work, something like that. Creativity in the workday, they're fucking common enemies. And
Yeah.
that's why they were, now that I say that out loud, that's probably why they were never, ever, ever conditioned together, because creativity is going to make you question all of it, all of the things around you. And they don't want that, because then you no
Yeah,
longer pay
questioning
along.
turns you into a bad worker.
Exactly. God damn it. Oh, I
And
like
that's all they're trying to do is harvest workers. So,
since the age of 4
yeah.
years old.
Well, I think we should cut it off here.
Do you mind if I debrief here for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, because I just wanted to say to anyone listening, thank you very much for taking the time to tune into today's episode. What I do really like about this, and because for the listener, we didn't get into this with much expectations at all. Like, there was no really ground rules. I mean, today we had an hour just because we both have shit going on after this. With that said, we intended on picking a topic and going off on that topic for an hour. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was a little resistant at first in the moment when it was happening, but I let it, and I just wanted to let go and go with the conversation, because you know what? Conversation is best left unfucked with, untampered. Just let it go where it's going. If we sat down to talk about fucking clock and creativity in the workday, and all of a sudden we end up at rats in a cage and overpopulation, then so be it. So be it, because those conversations are best had out loud. And it would have been a disservice to ourselves. And I still, I believe that at all. Never fucking interrupt a tangent. It's a disservice to do that, because it might not never come back. We may have never had the rat in the cage conversation, but we understand each other, how we see the world a little bit more because of it. And we became closer, and how we thought, aligned even more, all because of an uninterrupted tangent. And I think going forward, I really want to try to keep that structure to where we just go. Like, we can sit down with an initial topic, but just fucking go. We'll go for an hour, we'll go for 2 hours, it doesn't matter, wherever the things flow. But I'm starting to realize that I really don't want restrictions. Let's just talk, man. Let's sit down with the topic, but let's just fucking open up that goddamn floor.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with that. I mean, I think the most beautiful part about these conversations is we can start with a topic, but every single time we go off on a tangent, that's opening a whole new thought process and making our perspectives either change or align even more heavily with what our initial thoughts were. And I think one of the major things you got to go into these kind of situations with is an open mind and be able to understand that you may have a different perspective on something than I do, but that doesn't mean you're wrong or I'm wrong. We both just have our own points of view. Nobody's ever going to live your life. I'm never going to live your life. You're never going to live mine. So the only thing we have is our own personal points of view.
That's beautiful. That was beautiful. That's the whole goddamn purpose of why we're sitting down, man. Just,
yeah.
Aside from the platform, it's just two buddies talking. That's all it is.
Man, I miss this.
I do too. I fucking do. We would have been doing this shit. We would have had, what do we had? An hour and 8 minutes right now. We would have fucking did that for an hour and 8 minutes at work if we would have had the chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now we got at least, hey, we got a scheduled slot to be able to sit down and look forward to our fucking conversation. If we didn't have anything going on, it's pretty clear that this would have been at least a 2+ hour operation.
Oh yeah, we would have just kept going and going. But yeah, we both got out of we both have other activities we have to get to. So
all right, well, Hillbill, you want to say your piece, and then I'll fucking put a bow on it on our way out here.
Well, I just want to say thanks to everybody that's listening and was still listening to our random tangents. I really appreciate the chance to hop into a segment with you again. I mean, we did that one interview and it was amazing, a great time.
Fucking
So
right.
I'm looking forward to seeing where this thing goes.
Fucking right. And with that, I want to thank Justin Hillbilly Fisher for taking the time to sit down with me today. Go over to his YouTube page. It is Bubba's PH Hand Loads. One more time, Bubba's PH Hand Loads. Pissing hot, baby. Check it out. Got a lot of great content. You can expect us to be sitting down every bi-weekly, every Sunday, getting a conversation. It'll usually be posted within about a week. So with that, thank you one more time to Justin, and thank you to the listener. Anything else, Hillbilly, or no?
I am good to go here.
All right.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
See you later, everyone. Take it easy, Hillbilly.
See ya.
Fucking A, baby. That was good. That was good. Let me find that
Hell
stop
yeah.
button.